All right, KMR, what's up? And here is our hybrid Renesis. All right, KMR, we got the BRAP channel. What is going on? We have been working and putting some time into our hybrid Renesis 13B configuration. We've got it mocked up right here. GSLSE rotor housings with that traditional exhaust port, peripheral exhaust port, matched up to the Renesis 6-port side plates, side housings, which in this configuration gives you quite a bit of intake flow and exhaust flow. This has been the block we've been working on in the past videos, so if you haven't seen those videos, check them out in the links below. But basically what we have is a refurbished Renesis side plate set. They've gone through lapping, been buffed out, and we've got a nice street port. Cleaned up, ported up, and then we've got a used set of GSLSE rotor housings that have also gone through a little refurbishing, sent them out, had them honed or surface ground, which is a great way to give a second life to some used rotor housings. So essentially this whole block is being given a second chance. The Renesis motor had close to 200,000 miles on it, very used side plates, lapped, brought back to life, and then we've got a used set of GSLSE rotor housings that have been ground and are ready to be used again. One notation on all of this is this is not new. Lapping, resurfacing, grinding, it's a great way to, exactly what I'm saying, refurbish or get a second usage or third usage out of great components, but by no means are any of these replacements for new components. But in a hot rod build, or what we're doing here, which is kind of an experimental hot rod build, although I've built these in the past, this is a great way to save some money, have some fun, and since I'm really just building this motor for the YouTube channel, because everybody has wanted me to do one of these motor builds, I didn't want to break the bank, so I was able to dig up a lot of the components for this build within what we had around the shop. So that's just what we've got going on here. That's how we're putting this hybrid configuration 13B together. With that said, a lot of the questions that come in: why are we not using RX8 rotor housings and then boring them and inserting a sleeve? Well, to be honest, that's just a lot of work, and the GSLSE rotor housings are still available from the factory and quality shops like Mazdatrix, and they're actually the least expensive rotor housing that's available. So in comparison to an RX8 housing, they're substantially less, so you could almost sell a used set of RX8 housings in good condition and end up with almost enough money to get a new pair of GSLSE housings, if that's what you're going for. And another interesting thing is the GSLSE housings already have those traditional early style water O-ring grooves in the water housings, and so if you were to try to use turbo rotor housings from the FC or FD or any of those RX7 rotor housings, they'd also have to be sent out and machined. You'd either have to have your O-ring grooves machined into the side plates to match what the rotor housings would be, or vice versa, have O-ring grooves cut into those later model rotor housings. So Mazdatrix, when we originally came up with this configuration, when we built the motor for their time attack car, it was just really easy. We were able to take off the shelf early 13B GSLSE rotor housings, matched them up to Renesis side plates, and that's really what gave birth to the combination, is the fact that we didn't have to do machine work. We didn't have to bore holes, insert exhaust sleeves. These were components that the factory already made. It's just not in the configuration that the factory intended. So we now have our block ready to go. We're cleaned, we're painted, we're ported. If this was a high dollar build, I think I'd obviously recommend new parts. You could go with WPC treatment. But for the YouTube channel, we did not WPC treat. They're just straight lapped, resurfaced components. I think it's another great way to showcase how well that stuff works. No renitriding. And we'll be out there banging on the rev limiter, probably going for 10,000 RPM when this configuration does get up and running and hit the track, because I have no mercy on my builds. I think another question that came in is, why aren't we doing the Bridgeport right now? Well, I actually think, I'm probably going to build this in 2 configurations. And like I mentioned in some of the other videos, I think it's more appropriate to start off with the street port, but because we can always bridge it later or add semi-peripherals. But one of the things that I've always felt about this configuration, and Mazdatrix did too, was that this actually gives a fairly equal volumetric flow, as where the Renesis motor originally has a little bit of a lacking exhaust flow. This configuration of intake and exhaust gives a fairly balanced flow. So for hot rods, toys, track cars, fun cars, where you want good mid-range, good top end, this will be a nice balanced configuration. If you were to get more aggressive on your intake porting, half bridge, full bridge, semi-peripheral, obviously the tonnage is going to change. You're going to get that hardcore rotary brap, but it is going to sacrifice more of that bottom end and move the RPM band up even further. So I would like to see how close we can get to bridge port or peripheral port numbers while still maintaining the street port combination, because we've just got that extra flow that this combination of housings allows us to have. So there you go. That's where we're at. KMR in the shop, wrapping it up. Keep sending the questions in. We're going to start assembly soon. We've got our rotors built. We've got our side plates, rotor housings prepped. Stationary gears are prepped. So I think we're just going to follow up with a few more questions answered and show a little bit more about our preparation, and we'll be building this motor, this block, very soon. It's a brap. I'm out of here. I got to go do some work because this doesn't pay the bills. It just braps.